Thank you, Eva. Thank you, everybody. I was listening particularly first to Werner, thinking what I'm going to say is remarkably similar to what Werner's going to say, which should save a little bit of time, but also tells you a little bit where I'm going to come out at the end of my comments. I'm sure there'll be somewhere along the line of disagreement. So a couple of stats about Amazon, first of all. I hope and expect many of you or some of you are Amazon customers, but many of you will probably not know what goes on behind the screen that you press to order something. So a couple of quick stats. Amazon in the European Union has 83,000 employees. We have invested 27 billion over the last 7 years across 90 sites, 90 physical sites. And we are a store that covers online activities and offline activities. I don't just mean warehouses, I also mean physical shops. We have 530 physical stores in the world, most of those in North America currently. And 50% of our sales are by third-party sellers. So, as this debate, there are many debates in Brussels at the moment about platforms. But for us, given what I've just described to you, and given you've been listening to Thomas before, the word platform is unfortunately meaningless. It's unhelpful in working out how to legislate. At Amazon, we have a marketplace, a store. We sell things. Grouping firms together when they act as intermediaries, just because they're intermediaries, is problematic. What we do as an intermediary is different from Spotify, is different from Expedia, is different from Facebook. Without wishing to be too surreal at this time of the morning, it's like grouping together dolphins, monkeys, and humans just because we're all mammals. It doesn't help. We have different diets, different habitats, and we have different needs. Secondly, what we need to construct is a virtuous triangle, not a virtuous circle today, but a virtuous triangle. So I want us to consider this. How do we achieve, one, a stable environment for business users and for intermediaries? Two, a great experience for customers. Let's not forget customers and consumers. And remember that they are omni-channel. Customers do not care about the business model. They do not care. And thirdly, we need to make sure, the other part of the triangle, that we continue to deal with societal challenges, like in our case, fighting fraud and counterfeits. If we fail to strike the right balance, we will fail. For example, if we ban certain practices in order to provide strong rights for business users of intermediaries, we risk damaging consumers and society. The same is true the other way around. If we provide strong rules that are too restrictive on societal challenges like fraud and removing undesirable content, then business users could be harmed. Let me take an Amazon example. We need to ensure that criminal counterfeiting gangs cannot use our store to sell counterfeits. This is a big problem. When they do so, they're ripping off our customers and they're channeling money into criminal enterprises and harming brands. We take a number of proactive and reactive measures to combat counterfeits. However, we need to be careful. When we look at removing a counterfeit product, we need to check that it is indeed counterfeit and not, for example, second-hand. If we don't check properly, then we risk suspending the listing or the account of the seller when they haven't done anything wrong and damaging their legitimate business and their cash flow. This is not good for the seller, and it's not good for us. Flip this around, and you have the opposite problem. If in the interests of creating a stable business environment for business users of marketplaces, you prevent listing or accounts being suspended, then you aid criminals and harm other businesses like brand owners. The balance is extremely important. Transparency is also important, and business users have a legitimate expectation to know the conditions under which they're doing business. However, too much transparency can damage consumers and intermediaries. For example, allowing business users to manipulate a ranking system because it's too transparent will result in consumers getting a bad deal, the products they don't actually want. And it will damage intermediaries by them having to give away trade secrets. Thirdly, horizontal regulation on online intermediaries, because it's horizontal, must stay at the principles level. This regulation will apply to hotel booking websites, price comparison services, app stores, search engines, social networks, local and global e-commerce marketplaces. Everyone has an interest, but specific interests are just that, specific. While some of these proposals are well intended, I'm now talking about what's happening in the debate in the Parliament, they may cause headaches. An amendment that seeks to provide certainty for app stores may not be relevant to e-commerce. Regulating default settings for an app store does not make any sense for an e-commerce service by Allegro, Amazon, or Zalando. In conclusion, as a study, an independent study funded by Vodafone earlier this year argued, there is not enough data to assess whether there are market failures, and therefore measures are necessary. We must therefore avoid regulatory failures, such as banning specific business practices. We should focus on the virtuous triangle and balance consumer, business, and societal needs. Favouring one will lead to the others being penalised. Sellers, developers, consumers, and citizens benefit greatly from the choice, information, and cross-border opportunities that online services provide. So does the single market. At Amazon, we strive to be customer-centric. Whether in business or politics, with a focus on the customer, you can't go far wrong. Thank you.